Welcome and greetings to everyone. This video is an English version of a video I did a while ago in Malayalam. A great number of requests and suggestions have come to me from various quarters that I should do this video also in English for the sake of the wider viewership. So I respect their advice, their sentiments, their expectation, and oblige them with the English version of the video posted earlier in the morning. This will not be an exact repetition of the Malayalam video, but will conform to it in all substantial details. With that proviso, with that caveat, let me invite you to my analysis of the substance and spirit of the historic speech that Rahul Gandhi made the other day in Lok Sabha, responding to the anti-question paper leak bill, which has now become, which is now on its way to becoming the law of the land. It's obvious that the power of Rahul's speech rattled the BJP. Of that, there can be absolutely no doubt. Every word that Rahul said was responded to by the members of the ruling dispensation in such a manner as to betray the fact that everything he said was going home and hitting in the rawest of spots. So here is an attempt to analyze, to understand the grammar of that power. So let's get started. In order to understand the significance and the power of his speech, quite obviously we have to examine it in its context. It's when the text and the context come together that power is generated, particularly in the context of a public speech. The context in which Rahul Gandhi made the speech has at least two parts, two aspects. The first aspect is that for a long time, the BJP has been engaged in a very well orchestrated effort to convince the whole of the country that Rahul Gandhi is nothing but a Pappu. He is no match to the Prime Minister, particularly in rhetorical powers. And therefore, he is not someone who is who does not merit being taken seriously. So he's an idiot. Pappu is a synonym for an idiot. So the BJP did everything possible to convince the rest of us, and even I was taken in, that Rahul Gandhi is a benign idiot. The second aspect of the context that we have to take into account is that a historic and substantial change has come about in the political landscape of India through the emergence of the Cockroach Janata Party. A great shift has taken place from boomers and millennials, my generation and the generation immediately after mine, to the Gen Z generation. Now, there are various aspects to it. For our purpose now, I need only to mention that this is a shift fundamentally from the BJP controlling and dominating the narratives and the political spins in India to someone else having a foothold in the zone of narrative dominance, as well as having the courage to speak it out. So, Gen Z is characterized by their resolute refusal to swallow whatever the BJP manufactures and airs for the consumption of the country as a whole. They will not accept anything that contradicts their experience, unlike the members of my generation that was trained to venerate everyone, even when our own experiences contradicted the claims made. And therefore, The narrative dominance that the BJP enjoyed for a while without anybody else coming anywhere near it has been seriously dented. And this is, I believe, a development of great historical significance, the full scope of which is not revealed yet, but it will come to light more and more from now onwards. You better watch out. So this is a context. That is the attempt on the part of the BJP to convince all of us that Rahul Gandhi is only a Pappu, an idiot. Then, quite recently, the emergence of the CJP to contest and hijack the narrative dominance from the BJP. This is something that we have to very clearly fix in our minds. Furthermore, let us ask 4 or 5 questions in this connection. First of all, what did Rahul do in Lok Sabha through the speech? Why did he make this kind of a speech? What did he say in his speech? How did he say it? How did the BJP react to Rahul's speech? And did the BJP inflict any harm on themselves? So these are the 4 or 5 questions that we need to ask in this context. First of all, Rahul created a narrative. As I said a short while ago, the monopoly in creating narratives was misappropriated by the BJP. Now, Rahul began his speech by creating and introducing a narrative. And that narrative, the beauty and power of that narrative is that it is entirely credible in the context created by the Gen Z. That's why I'm saying the context is important. If Rahul Gandhi had created that narrative and introduced it in the Lok Sabha speech without the context created by the CJP, the Cockroach Janata Party, it would have had no effect. So Rahul Gandhi actually borrowed or derived the power of his speech in part, if not entirely, from the narrative set by the Cockroach Janata Party. Or the narrative that Rahul Gandhi introduced in the Lok Sabha at the outset of his speech is a narrative that captures and echoes the sentiments and feelings of Gen Z. Unlike the Prime Minister, Rahul has been in conversation with the youth of India and predominantly Gen Z, and for the last 1 year in particular, he has been constantly referring to the possibility that Gen Z in India will rise to the occasion and demand the integrity and inviolability of our democratic inheritance. So he has been in dialogue with the youth of India. So he knew how best to express the situation in this country as Gen Z would have expressed it. If any representative of Gen Z were asked to make this speech in Lok Sabha, they would have made this kind of a narrative. And that is where the smartness, the sense of the moment that Rahul Gandhi has shown. And thereby, Rahul stole the thunder. Rahul became virtually the mouthpiece of the Gen Z sentiments, the Gen Z outlook, the Gen Z narrative in the Lok Sabha. That is, to my mind, the heart of the whole story. The problem with the BJP is that it can be in its elements only in a context where it enjoys complete narrative dominance. There's a problem in attaining and flaunting complete monopoly. You lose the power to deal with situations with which you're unfamiliar. So as of now, the BJP can be in its elements only in a context where it has complete narrative dominance. What happens when that context changes and somebody else comes into the picture and has at least equal ability to set the narrative? Then BJP would not know how to deal with the situation. The reason why dissent is suppressed, the reason why debate is derided, ridiculed, the reason why everything has to be heard from the master's mouth is that this has become the forte, the strength, the habit of the BJP, that they alone can set the narrative agenda. And they're used to function in a context where they have complete, total narrative dominance. But that dominance is now seriously contested. And that's the significance of the Gen Z movement or the emergence of the Cockroach Janata Party. And this is actually the price of the intolerance that the BJP has practiced. Intolerance towards free thinking, intolerance towards any radical opinion. Remember, thinkers are stigmatized as urban Naxals, so on and so forth. The capture of the media, so that no view different to that of the establishment ever reaches the citizens of India. And this kind of a situation produces a problem. The problem is that very soon you lose the flexibility and the agility of your mind to deal with situations that are different to what you are used to. So that is the problem that the BJP faced in Lok Sabha. And the bewilderment that the BJP faced was evident in the manner, in the very sorry manner, in which they responded to the leader of the opposition, and in their customary manner of trying to suppress voices that they feel are inconvenient to them. And I feel that more harm has been done to the BJP, or more harm has happened to the BJP on account of Rahul's speech, because of the way the BJP reacted to Rahul's speech, than by the inherent power and strength, the inherent merit of Rahul's speech itself. But here I have to give Modi, our Prime Minister, some credit. I give to Modi a credit that I cannot give to anyone else in the BJP fold. Modi, unlike others, realized that a shift has taken place, and that shift is too significant to be either suppressed or neglected or overlooked. He realized that Gen Z has begun to set the tone and terms of our national discourse, our public life. So he made a belated attempt to make a shift from suppressing the voice of Gen Z to identify himself with Gen Z. And that is the significance of the midnight Instagram selfie video. The famous midnight Instagram selfie video, 2 videos that the Prime Minister put out. But as all of us know, it failed utterly, it failed miserably. But again, BJP, true to its character, has come out with its own spin, saying that the Instagram speech by Prime Minister Modi is the greatest speech ever made in the history of Instagram, and that some 500 million people have watched it, so on and so forth. How a party that has a total social media presence of 9.5 million people can claim that a speech made by its leader was watched instantaneously by 500 million people is something that I cannot understand. Maybe that's my problem, so I will not press it any further. Now let's recall Rahul's narrative, identifying the 3 entities that the Gen Z has been talking about in this country. If you have been monitoring the social media happenings in this country, the social media output, the tremendous social media output in the last, especially the last 5 years, you would know that the 3 categories that Rahul Gandhi introduced right at the outset of his speech in Lok Sabha were categories that really existed and has been existing for a while in the social media space in our country. Gen Z has been talking about it. And therefore, you would notice that Rahul Gandhi quite rightly said, and said it repeatedly, and he emphasized it, that he was not really putting out a theory of his own concoction. He did not discover these three categories. He merely listed the three categories that existed in the social media space of this country, in the space of the imagination of Gen Z, and therefore, he was simply presenting to the Lok Sabha members the reality that existed in this country, and for the BJP then to react in this manner, looking rattle, was quite an unwise thing to do. And in fact, Rijiju, the Parliamentary Affairs Minister, made it even more obvious. He said Rahul Gandhi is calling us idiots in an indirect manner. Even when Rahul Gandhi said, I'm not talking about any one of you, he said, no, you're talking about us. Nothing more foolish could have been said. So, what are these three categories? First, he says there is a category of students. And what is the hallmark of a student? Who is a student? A student is one who realizes that he does not know everything, and therefore one who believes in keeping an open mind, and therefore has humility. Then he says there is the second category, the category of idiots. Who is an idiot? An idiot is one who assumes that he knows everything, that he has in his hands the solutions to all the problems. Sab mumkin hai. And the third category that he introduced is andhapakts. Who is an andhapakt? Quite simply, as the word itself says, one who follows blindly whatever the leader says. So the part of the narrative that Rahul Gandhi introduced at the beginning of his Lok Sabha speech is that it reflects the substance and spirit of the social media output, the tremendous avalanche-like social media output that pre-existed his speech, particularly the output produced by the stand-up comedians in this country, and they're thriving on it. And I need not go into details. The Prime Minister has been, whether you like it or not, whether I like it or not, the Prime Minister has been the butt of the social media ridicule for a while. I'm sure the BJP knows about it, because the BJP has been trying to counter it, to neutralize it, but to no avail. This intensified after, that is, this attempt to ridicule the Prime Minister clearly intensified after he claimed that he was of no ordinary birth and that he is non-biological in origin and that he is the messenger of the Paramatma. So when Rahul Gandhi introduced the three categories, it struck the BJP as though Gen Z as a whole was shouting against them. That's the problem. Now the obvious truth. The youth or Gen Z is not impressed with your authority. BJP always assumes that mention the person of Modi, the authority of Modi, the supernatural authority of Modi, the Vishwaguru Modi, and all problems will be solved. That is something that the Gen Z will never accept. They will only ridicule such an assumption. Nor will the Gen Z buy your narrative. They will say, you keep your narratives to yourself. We know the truth because we feel it in our bones. We experience it day to day. Don't come to us with your narrative. They value and they take seriously, they trust only their experience. And their experience is painful. Their situation is unbearable. And they also have the guts to tell it to your face. Besides, they are free. They are free precisely because they are not parasites on the system. This is where the Chief Justice of India got it horribly wrong. Gen Z are not parasites on the system because the system is doing nothing for them. If the system is giving them something which is not merited by them, then you can say they are parasites on the system. If the system has completely failed them, and then the very same And the spokesperson of the persons of the same system ridicules Gen Z as parasites on the system that has failed them, then that's the ultimate insult. And I'm quite surprised that the Chief Justice of India, who is supposed to be a man of some wisdom, at least by virtue of occupying an exalted seat like that, he should have some wisdom. He should have realized the explosive nature of the utterly indefensible and baseless indictment, uncalled for, unwarranted indictment that he was making, which is the trigger point of all that we are talking about. So ironically, unemployment is the secret of the power of our Gen Z. If the unemployment problem had not existed, there would not have been Gen Z, a cockroach Janata Party in this country. So that is their strength. And unemployment is to our Gen Z what communal politics is to Narendra Modi, focused on Muslims. If Congress wins, all the wealth will be taken away by the Muslims. Your Mangal Sutra will go and all that kind of thing. The politics of hate. So, unemployment is to our Gen Z what hate is to BJP. Gen Z cares two hoots for religion. I hope you at least know this. And therefore, if the Prime Minister's authority is derived from religion, he goes to the ultimate extent in presenting himself as the ultimate pujari of India, the real high priest of India, one who blesses and dedicates Ram temple, so on and so forth, one who energizes India with the power of his meditation, almost like the contemporary avatar of Shiva. This kind of image makeover will work with my generation. But Gen Z will have utter contempt for it because they don't respect, they don't even recognize such authority. And this is something that the BJP has to take very seriously. In this light, consider the power of the metaphor of idiot that Rahul Gandhi introduced in his speech. So Rahul Gandhi says, the young people of this country are saying that a person who claims to know everything, a person who claims to have the solutions for all our problems, and a person who claims that he is not of biological origin, but of some divine origin, is actually an idiot. He says, that's not what I'm saying. That's what the youth of this country, that's what our Gen Z are saying. But ironically, who is saying this in the parliament? It's Pappu, the idiot, the one who was morphed or deformed into an idiot by BJP through a 15-20 year long orchestrated propaganda effort. That idiot is saying that the Gen Z, that is the idiot Rahul Gandhi, Pappu, is saying that according to Gen Z, a person who claims to be the ultimate fountainhead of all knowledge, a person who has solutions to all the problems, so on and so forth, is an idiot. From their perspective, such a person who comes before them with such claims, will be considered by them an idiot. That's exactly what he said. By the way, this is not my view at all, as is very obvious. Please don't come to me by saying that I call this and that I have no opinion in this matter. I'm only giving you a summary of what has been said in the Parliament of India. Nowhere else. This is not a street conversation. Now, the third category, who is an Andhbhakt. Unfortunately, the Andhbhakt is such an easily recognizable category in India. Say anything, don't use your brains, don't ever even assume that you have a critical capacity for critical rational thinking, just lap it up, depending on the source. So if X says something, just accept it. Don't ever examine it in light of your experience or the truth of what you know. So neither the Gen Z nor Rahul Gandhi created the Andhbhakts. That is purely the creation of the BJP, the Sangh Parivar. And it's been the pride and strength of the BJP, the Andhbhakt, right? And a lot of propaganda has been done, taking help or using the Andhbhakts. So Rahul Gandhi was only using the material, indeed the stick, created by the Cockroach Janata Party as per the BJP playbook. The Cockroach Janata Party has done whatever he has done only in reaction to the Bharatiya Janata Party. So that's why I'm saying a stick created by the Cockroach Janata Party according to the playbook of the Bharatiya Janata Party. He did not have to put anything into it from his own pocket. That is the advantage he had, and that was also the power of his speech. Now, let us examine the rhetorical strategy of Rahul Gandhi. When you do anything, if you want to do it effectively, you have to create an appropriate strategy for it. You have a goal and you have a way to achieve your goal, then that is called the strategy. How to achieve your goal is your strategy. So when you make a speech, and particularly as important a speech as a speech in the parliament, and you have a very clear goal in mind, you have to have a very, very appropriate and adequate strategy, an rhetorical strategy. What is the strategy that Rahul Gandhi used? And I say these things because I don't find anyone talking about it. It's a matter of public education. Only in that spirit do I offer you my observations. There are two possibilities. There are two strategies possible. One is, you can call a person an idiot, or you can call some people Andhbhakts directly. It's a direct indictment, a direct criticism. But there is another way, and that is, you can make them identify themselves as idiots and Andhbhakts on their own. Now you tell me, which is a better strategy? What are the two strategies? You call somebody directly and say, you are an idiot, you are an Andhbhakt. That's one strategy. The other strategy is, you create a context in which the persons concerned will identify themselves as idiots and Andhbhakts, which is a better strategy, which is a more powerful strategy. Obviously, the second one, and that is a strategy Rahul Gandhi used, and that is what is called intelligence. That's called smartness. That's called creativity. That is something that nobody is talking about. I say this as someone who deals with literature, critical theories, thinking, history of ideas, and particularly because of my keen interest in the art of rhetoric. I've spent a lot of my time trying to understand the basics of rhetoric, or in the words of Dale Carnegie, the art of public speaking. Hence these insights. So clearly, Rahul used the more effective, more destructive, better strategy. The best in this context, the best that the BJP could have done for itself was to treat Rahul Gandhi's statements, or the categories that Rahul Gandhi introduced to them, as though they did not apply to them. You talk about idiots, you talk about Andhbhakts. These things don't apply to us. None of us is an idiot. None of us is an Andhbhakts. Nor do we as a party support idiots or promote Andhbhakts. So whatever you're saying is completely irrelevant to us. It doesn't concern us. So look the other way. But they chose the opposite path. They turned the situation into a public confession by the manner they reacted so violently, in a kind of knee-jerk reaction, hysterical knee-jerk reaction. They went on repeatedly creating the impression that what you're saying applies to us. It's only about us you're speaking. Even when Rahul Gandhi was saying, I'm not talking about you, they're saying, no, you're talking only about us. I was shocked. I was amazed. Now, in this context, I'm reminded of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. In the early years of his life, his ministry, people used to ridicule him, especially members of the Qurayshi tribe. He was called an idiot, he was called a good-for-nothing person, etc., etc. So people would come to the Prophet saying, look, so-and-so is saying this about you. the Prophet would smile and say, what makes you think that they are saying this about me? Because I know who I am. So if someone says that Muhammad is an idiot, I, as Muhammad, know that it doesn't apply to me. They may be talking about some other Muhammad. That is called wisdom. I wish our friends in the BJP have this kind of wisdom, the wisdom of Prophet Muhammad. It doesn't concern you. You are not idiots. You are not unfucks. Then why are you reacting in this kind of knee-jerk fashion? Now, in order to understand this more clearly, let's imagine a hypothetical situation. You're walking on the road with another person, okay? Somebody is walking behind you, and that person shouts, "You idiot." Now, you know you're not an idiot, so you will just move on. Suppose the other person who is walking beside you thinks that he's an idiot. He will immediately look back and fight or shout. And by shouting, he will prove that he's an idiot. That is precisely the point I'm making. So it's very unfortunate that the members on the treasury benches reacted in this manner. So the great significance of what happened, what was played out in the Lok Sabha, is that BJP is losing the narrative dominance. And that's a very serious thing for the party. The Cockroach Janata Party, as the agent of Gen Z power, is snatching the narrative dominance from the BJP. But unfortunately, the BJP has become very fixed and inflexible in his mind, in his imagination, and therefore, it can only respond to this existential crisis according to the tricks it has known, tricks it has got used to. And therefore, what did it do? His first step was to try and suppress the Gen Z movement, the Cockroach Party movement, using anti-CJP propaganda. Every trick in the propaganda trade was played against them. Every trick failed. Then the BJP resorted to the second trick in its playbook, which is state violence. And we saw that enacted in its naked brutality on the 20th of this month. That also failed. Not only that it failed, it served as a catalyst for more and more Gen Z power gravitating and coming together, converging on Jantar Mantar, and the situation was clearly getting out of control. And the third strategy it used was suppression of dissent, and all of that, and that suppression of dissent was used in Lok Sabha in relation to the LOP, leader of the opposition. In a democratic society, the position of the leader of the opposition is second only to that of the Prime Minister, and he was not allowed to speak. That's a degree of the health of our democracy. And all these serve to expose the reality to those who have the eyes to see it. It's high time, therefore, that BJP realized that these old tricks on which they have flourished so far will not work anymore. Those days are gone. A clear shift in foundation has happened. Persisting with the old tricks is like fighting the missiles, or the American pronunciation of the word missile is missile. Now, because of the American dominance, you must use the American pronunciation. But I'm an old man, I'm used to the British pronunciation. So forgive me for using the old pronunciation, missile. So it's like fighting the new technology, the high-tech missiles with the old sword and shield. You know, so hypersonic missile is coming, you are fighting it with your sword and your shield. It's as effective as that. It will only make you look all the more ridiculous. So the real bad news for the BJP is that the Pappu of their own creation has really come of age and has now become a force that they will find it impossible to control. And he may well become the agent of the BJP's nemesis. History's nemesis on the BJP. This is something we have to wait and see. So this, in a nutshell, is my analysis of the substance and power of the speech by Rahul Gandhi as a leader of the opposition in the Lok Sabha, responding to the anti-examination question paper leak bill, which was being debated. Thank you for your patient hearing. Jai Hind.